The International Blind Cafe 18 Plus presents Conversations from Booth 6666666.
Order up.
Is this the one for booth 6?
Yep.
Welcome back to Booth 6 here at the internationalblindcafe.com. Previously in the booth, the guys told us about how being a sharp-dressed man is all about being successful. This time in the booth, the fellas are going to dig a little deeper into their own pastimes, hobbies, and how they pass the time away. So, Jason, could you tell us how you pass the time away?
Well, if I had my druthers, I'd just sit and drink and sleep my time away, but that doesn't work. So I got to be more creative than that. So I've gotten into beekeeping over the last couple of years as a blind person. Of course, I have someone that helps me that's sighted, so that helps. But getting into beekeeping has been a real learning experience. And also rediscovering what games are out there for blind people, because I like video games. And video, the main thing there is being able to see it. So just discovering the audio games out there, and I've kind of gotten into a couple games, and then just cooking and just trying to relearn how to live the blind life. So it's been a world of discovery, and I'm just trying to relearn how to do things blind and stay busy and stay organized. So hey Eddie,
Yo.
what do you do to keep busy, man?
Well, besides for talking in the International Blind Cafe, I like to talk on the amateur radio, ham radio, whatever you want to call it. If I can find a pilot or a rider, I like to go tandem bike riding and work on motorcycles, motocross bikes, rebuilding them and getting them running and turn around, sell them, make a couple bucks. And cooking too. I'm kind of getting into cooking lately too. So because of you, Jason, watching some of your videos out here. And
Cooking I find is a real good way of killing time and being creative and really learning how to expand your limits as a blind person, but mechanics as well. Like you say, Eddie, I'll get out there and I'll pull wrenches on the car or stuff like that, because I did that before I lost my sight. And yeah, you can feel your way through that pretty easy. Yeah. So,
how long have you been doing amateur radio, Eddie? Have you been doing it long enough that you had
close to 30 years?
Oh, so you had to, when you started, you still had to take like the Morse code test and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, CW class,
Yeah, I guess now whenever folks first get into that hobby, they don't have to. It's an option that they can do now. They don't. It's not like a requirement back.
Yeah, you don't have to take CW anymore. Now last I knew, they went from 5 licenses to 3 licenses.
Ah, okay.
Why?
So
I don't know.
Do you have a big setup at your house, or is it all?
Not at the moment. It's all broken down still. I haven't put it up since I moved into this new place.
Ah, I see.
It's gonna do a lot of work, but I got probably 6 or 8 antennas to hook up with radios.
Now, what's the furthest person you've ever talked to? Like, have you talked to somebody on
Australia,
the world?
England, Australia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty far away.
South Africa.
Oh, wow.
And all the states in the United States, depending on the conditions, the skip conditions.
it's kind of like old school internet.
Yeah.
Now,
and I got the CB too.
Oh, and the CB, yeah. Is that? Do you know? Do people still kind of use the citizen band stuff anymore? I mean, is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it more just like highway traffic, like interstate traffic or something like that, or is it? Do people kind of still use it, maybe for farm use and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe for that, but out here they have people in the towns that just have base stations set up at their house, and they'll sit around in their radio room, whatever, watching TV, and have the radio on, and some people just start talking, and then if you're bored, you go to Channel 19 and help the truckers around trying to get through, where they're trying to get to.
Right.
Hey guys.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, Jody.
Hey, Jody, what's up?
Yeah, I was walking around outside. I bumped into Corey. Brought him here too.
Oh, hey, Corey.
Right on, Corey.
Oh, far out, man.
So Jody, what do you do other than walk around looking for Booth 6?
Yeah,
What do
we're
you
talking
do to
about
fill your
hobbies.
time?
Let's see. On my free time, I work out, trying to hit the weights, trying to get stronger for all my regular sport activities next summer. You got to keep working at it. Even though sight loss, certain degrees of sight loss, you can still work out.
Well, you say all your sporting activities. What sporting activities are you into, man?
The last 4 years I've been with this para Dragon Ball team. Before that, I probably have only ever encountered like one person that was visually impaired with a white cane, and I didn't understand how things are like I do now. But half the team is visually impaired, but we have a good time at it. But I've been really working out hard in the off season so that I can be. I don't want to be like a weak link. I don't like to be my team when the season starts.
So you guys are working up to competing on the big stage then? Like not just competing locally now, you're like setting your sights higher.
My regular team is all local, but me and like two others, we've been setting our sights to try out for like the national para Dragon Ball team. Hopefully, here's hoping. Here's hoping.
So is that like a para national team or?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. It's the worlds in Germany are going to be in like 250 days. That's what somebody sent me a message telling me.
So for those that don't know, what is Dragon Boat racing?
What is a dragon boat?
It's a team sport. There's like 20 paddlers. A full boat has 20 paddlers. There's 10 people on the left, 10 on the right. Basically 10 rows of 2 people with a person in the back steering, and they have a person in the front calling out and hitting a drum to keep everybody together in the same cadence. Aside from working out and dragon boating, I do like to learn languages. Been working at that. Been working at Spanish for the last 6 months. Hoping the language after this. Maybe refresh my knowledge of Italian, because I used to hear that like every day for like over a decade. And that I like cooking. Cooking is fun.
What kind of stuff do you like to cook? Are you like a grilling guy, or are you more of like a baker? Or
no, I don't really bake. Never learned. I was never taught properly. The skills I learned is just based on watching cooking shows and learning on my own.
Oh,
so like
you learn
Chef Ramsay or something.
You learn a few. Start off with like 2 or 3. Like even if you can't cook, start off with like 2 or 3 things that you would like to try. Once you learn a recipe, you learn new skills and techniques. I've learned that when I tried a new dish from another ethnicity, I learned absolutely new techniques with each new recipe. That's fun. It's I'm never gonna starve, that's for sure. Once you learn stuff, you'll be okay.
And you say you brought Corey in. Hey, Corey, you're basically a newcomer to the group, and you're fairly new to blindness as well. So what have you done to fill your time as you've become part of this community?
Well, I started off watching a lot of like TV shows and movies and audiobooks, but like as I become more like able again, like I cook a lot now. I like playing the guitar, and I collect Magic the Gathering cards too, like they have a lot of pictures and data and stuff on them. So like I'll use my phone to use the AI apps to snap pictures and describe the cards and stuff, or just read them.
Right on.
Cool.
It seems like cooking is a common theme that a lot of us do to pass our time. So we must all like to eat. We must all like to eat too. So what kind of stuff are you cooking these days, Corey?
Well, I have like a bunch of like recipe groups on my Facebook. So if I see something that looks interesting, I'll try it out. I made spaghetti tonight. I mean, I make a lot of the old classics from my childhood that like only I can make like it used to be, like bologna stew and spaghetti. And this time of year is definitely a lot of soups and stews.
Yeah, the cold weather coming.
Cold weather brings in the stew weather.
The good old comfort foods: bologna stew and meatloaf.
Yeah.
Tell us you're a maritimer without saying so.
Yeah, you can tell you're a maritimer when you start talking about bologna.
So you like your pickled bologna, right? Your pickled bologna? Well, I got a question for you about playing guitar. Are you self-taught, or I think you had said previously on an episode of The Booth that you played and that you were largely self-taught, though, right? I mean, you've learned off the internet. So do you have a tip for maybe somebody who's listening right now who's like, man, I want to start playing the guitar, but I don't think I can, I got a guitar over there in the closet. What's one tip that can keep them moving forward, if you have anything at all, that besides just grin and bear it and get through it?
Well, definitely start simple. A lot of people like to start learning songs they love, and sometimes you got to learn some songs you don't like because they're easy to play, and you got to learn the chord progressions and stuff. But my main tip would be start with your index finger. The chords, they may seem complicated and overwhelming and almost like Twister for your fingers, but figure out how to get that pointer finger to the first note of the chord, or any note on the chord for that matter, and the rest of the fingers kind of will eventually start falling in place. Even if you start doing it slowly at first, just okay, this finger, then this finger, then this finger. Just do it over and over and over and over again, and your body's eventually gonna just remember.
Wow. So you play acoustic? You play acoustic now?
A lot.
Yeah, I play acoustic. I played a lot more electric, but I've been doing a lot more acoustic lately.
Right. What's your favorite brand? Do you have a certain, some people will say they play Martins or Taylors or Gibsons, or do you have a certain brand that you just absolutely love? And
I like BC Rich. It's
for electric,
yeah, it's more of a cosmetic thing, though. They're really metal-looking guitars. They're all pointy and cool looking.
The Warlock and...
Yeah, I used to have a Warlock and a Mockingbird, but I don't have terribly I don't know enough about acoustics to have a preference when it comes to acoustics. But with
acoustics
electric,
seem more fiddly, don't they? You have to... They have all these extra steps that you have to take. Maybe they're not as... I'm not saying that they're fragile, but they are more susceptible to injury as opposed to
definitely
an electric.
And they're a black hole for guitar picks.
I suppose so, right? I would suppose so. So you play rock or country? Blues? Jazz?
I play a lot of different stuff. I like grunge, heavy alternative, metal. I'll play some blues, and just about. I don't play a lot of country, but I play just about everything else. Anything from like Tom Petty to like Arch Enemy or Metallica. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff in between.
Nice. Very nice. Eddie was he was saying earlier that he tinkers still with motorcycles, and I think it goes to show, like, you probably started, Corey, playing music, or at least messing around with it before you had lost your sight, and then you've picked it back up after, right?
Yeah.
And had to learn a new way of carrying on that pastime that you had started when you did have sight, and now that you have sight loss, you are learning a whole new way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to just being able to look at the frontboard and look at the tablatures and see stuff. And I mean, it really illustrates it. Like, Eddie, when you go to work on a project, whether it's an off-road bike or whatever it might be, what's a tip that you could give somebody to get back into the pastime that they've always had? Because we both have known a couple of people at least through the cafe, who were really beside themselves because they weren't able to continue, or they felt like they weren't able to continue with some of those pastimes that they've enjoyed for years. And with some good encouragement, they're able to pick some of those back up. I mean, obviously, if you were a glider pilot or something, you're not going to be doing that. You have to ride with someone, but tinkering, repairing, maintaining your machines or something like this is absolutely something in the wheelhouse that you could do.
Right. Yeah. Now with YouTube, it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to do projects on a bike. There's so many more videos on it now, but back in the 80s, they didn't have the internet and the YouTube and all that stuff, so I learned a lot of it myself, and I had friends that were mechanics, and call them up and ask, how to do something. And when I'd go to do something and take something apart, they had a lot of small pieces or whatever, like a sheet or a tarp or something down underneath the bike, because I didn't have a garage when I was growing up. So I had to do it in the backyard or in the driveway. So in case I dropped something, since I couldn't see very well, if I dropped something, it landed on the blanket or the sheets. And then when I would take something apart, I had a tray, like a cookie sheet almost, and I'd put the pieces on that, starting from left going to the right. I was going here, this order. When you go to put it back together, you just grab it in line again and start putting the pieces in.
I wish I could get my son to take his quad apart over a friggin' blanket, because he's always losing parts in the gravel, little bugger.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's really a good tip, even for sighted people, really.
Right.
Like, having a parts caddy where you can, that are compartment, like little sections where you can put your individual, fasteners and stuff like that, and keep them from rolling around and being lost. That's actually a really good idea. And the tarp or blanket trick for sure, because got to help it from rolling away and whatever, or cleaning up. I mean, if you do wind up with like an oil spill or something, like the coolant spill or something, well, I mean, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, that's forethought into your pastimes, right? I mean, it's not just something that you. And I think that's really what makes it a pastime. It's not just something that you're engaged in, like, oh, I got to do this.
Right, something I enjoy.
Yeah, when you start seeing people prepare to do their hobby, then it's a pastime. When they're doing everything they can to make it just that much easier, and that really is, like with the cooking thing, people being organized, and that's how it helps to make it a more smoother experience, I think, for them.
Well,
and more enjoyable.
Definitely, it's about making it successful. I used to, before I lost my sight, I was big into stained glass. I got tons of glass, and I used to stained glass projects like leaded glass, and I can't do a lot of it now because it required sight. But there's some aspects I was really good with. So my partner and I will work on the glass, and then I can do the parts I was really good at, because you got to put this copper foil around all the edges of all the glass pieces so the solder sticks to it. Where I'm really good at it, and she was kind of good at it. But I have the patience to be able to get it all on there perfectly. So I'll spend an afternoon going through her glass pieces, and that's all I'll do all afternoon, is just foiling. That's what we call it. Just foiling her pieces. I have no idea what the project is anymore. But just sitting there listening to a movie or a book, and I'll foil for an afternoon while I'm here at the farm. Just to be involved in the glass project. And it's still kind of cool. So
You said some of those projects were pretty big, right? They weren't just, we're not talking like a little wind chime type of art project. We're talking like big window size stuff, right?
I did lamp fixtures and door windows.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What would you say is your, if one of them sticks out in your mind as like, man, that one was really, I really was proud of that one.
My buddy Craig, who was on a few episodes back, the front window in his main door has got 4 panels that are 8 inches by 16 inches, and they're 4 panels. But they all make one mosaic of just a bunch of martini glasses, topsy-turvy, but they all cool. Kind of combine in different colors, and that's the front window of this place. That one stands out.
Very cool.
Wow. So that's actually really interesting to me, because I've always like been able to have some vision. So like stained glasses, I've always been like, wow, those are really pretty or whatever. And I never knew, is it really stained? Like you're actually staining the glass, or is it like a glaze that colors it, or do you have to just use glass that's that color?
You buy the glass that's that color, and you score it, and you break it, and then you grind it, and then you foil it, and you solder it together.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you actually had to paint it or whatever, right? So
no, the glass is colored. Comes that way.
Wow. So you essentially have to know how to, whatever shape to cut the glass into to make that, you know what I mean? Like that, to form up the shape so that it looks like an actual picture.
Yeah. Probably there's a lot of prep work, and you draw on the glass, and that's the stuff I can't do anymore. Just draw on the glass and cut along the lines, and it's the art is breaking it along the lines that you want it to break on.
Right. And then it's probably not super accessible because, well, sharp edges, right? Lots of cuts and stuff.
It's not nearly as sharp as one might think. Yeah. But
wow. I actually would have thought that it was that the edges would be sharp.
Yeah. Well, they're sort of sharp, but not that bad.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be worried just trying to touch one.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know what, Jody? I wonder how fast does a dragon boat go?
It's as fast as
fast as you can go, right? I mean,
10 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour average, 4 miles an hour.
Like on a sports team, they go like super fast because everybody, the entire team works out in the gym all year round, and they do like indoor training during the winter, so they can go really fast. But a recreational team, if everybody's together, we can do pretty decent. You know, it's just your personal.
No numbers. 5 miles an hour.
Literally clock it, I guess. How far do you guys race? Like if it's my team versus your team, and because it's kind of like a drag race, right? Like you're all at the same starting line, and then like pow, and now we're drag racing. Our teams are drag racing against each other, right?
The standard back in the day, the standard race distance 500 meters, which is half a kilometer.
Yeah.
They came up with 250 meters. These days, it's more like 200 meters. They have like 2 kilometer races as well, which involves turns. Yeah, those are fun because it's more like a chariot race where there's boats next to you, and if one boat, the steerer might accidentally bump into the one in front and might tip that one over. It can be very interesting and exciting.
Right. So when you're rowing,
Yeah.
do you feel a lot, like individual rowers, do you feel a lot of resistance in the water? Is it so fluid and your movements are so quick that you don't really feel like a lot of, you know what I mean, like a resistance or a pull against you?
In this case, you're sitting facing forward, and as you reach forward with the paddle, you dip it into the water and you pull it back with the outside hand. And you, once you reach around the hip, you bring the paddle out and move it back forward for the next stroke. After a while, with a lot of training, everybody is in sync, even if half the team is blind.
Right. Did you do this before you experienced sight loss, Jody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 years ago, I was on a competitive team, and that's when everybody was expected to be in the gym. You didn't want to be the weak link in the entire boat, so everybody was working out hard with fitness tests periodically during the season to see what your numbers are.
Right.
But then after I retired from that team, I jumped on 2 community recreational teams. And then I stopped for like maybe another 6 years, and life brought me back to another team, which I'm still with that team now.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah, my current para team, I've been with them for 4 years.
Do you find there a difference between when you were on? I mean, I guess maybe culturally.
If you'd like to join us, there's
when you were on
a seat for
like
you
a fully able-bodied competitive team, and then this
server and
I guess a disabled competitive team.
You require more verbal cues. There has to be out loud, counting out loud, and some people are required to count along. Count along, please, because otherwise you're off. Right.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that they're just as competitive, though? Like that spirit of competitiveness and work ethic is still there. It's just they have these other barriers that they have to overcome too.
Yeah, everybody wants to win, of course. It's nice when there's a medal. But even if everybody does their best, I'm happy.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever thought about exploring other accessible sport or physical activities?
But I know completely blind individuals. They're doing like judo. They even jump into competitions too. So.
Oh, the list of blind competitive sports out there is it's phenomenal. There's goalball, there's blind tennis, I've heard, there's blind hockey, believe it or not,
and dart throwing is a big thing, I know, over in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Ireland, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they compete right along with with sighted dart throwers, and then we don't see that so much here. I know us who are here in Canada, like through our local Canadian Royal Canadian Legions, they have lots of dart throwing and stuff, but you don't see so much disabled people doing that, really. I mean, maybe disabled veterans or whatever, but not really You know, it's more in the pubs though. I think in the UK. So
even in the legions though, you're not seeing blind people throwing darts very often.
no, not typically. No, I have not.
I know two that have gone around the world for competitive lawn bowling.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
My brother was a Paralympic athlete.
Oh, right on.
He went to Seoul, Korea, and Barcelona, Spain. In 88 Paralympics and 92 Paralympics.
Oh, okay. What kind of sport did he do?
He did the pentathlon, got third in the world. Pentathlon, or bronze medal.
Wow.
There was two running events, discus, javelin, and running long jump.
Wow, wow.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we've also got a member of the cafe that's a regular member that's competes in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah,
that's right.
And he competes against sighted fighters on a regular basis.
Right, and that's in a professional capacity. That's like that's not even like in parasport or anything like that. That's which is amazing that they would even allow that. I mean, I know that there's lots of times where sporting commissions and all that kind of stuff won't allow that because you have to pass a physical and be cleared by physicians before they'll say no, you're not. You know, there's too much of a disability there or whatever, and the disadvantage, I guess they would say. So
yeah. And then he competes all over the world, so I think that's awesome. It's really good to see that there are lots of pastimes, hobbies, and recreational activities that people are still enjoying or that are finding that they can get back into and have it be a fulfilling time. Well, yeah, and we can remember that even navigating your kitchen or navigating your backyard, doing your own personal hobbies is just as much an achievement for you on a personal level than it is for the blind gentleman that climbed Mount Everest or the guy that surfs blind or especially when we're adjusting to blindness and it's skydiving, yeah. But it's the backyard heroes. Those are the ones that I like to hear about. Yeah. The people that are overcoming blindness for themselves rather than the ones that are out there. And I'm glad the ones that are out there showing the whole world it can be done.
Yeah, with a guide, you can do even triathlon if you want.
Yeah, but it's the guys. It's the guys that are out there. Hey, I'll run a chainsaw if I have to. I'll swing an axe and split wood if I have to.
Yeah,
it's the guys that are the backyard heroes, the household heroes that are overcoming blindness just as an achievement.
If you'd like to join us, there's always a seat for you in Booth 6 at the International Blind Cafe, Discord server, and Facebook group.